about to be live. You're live. And Ryan did send you the minutes from your last meeting, so you can approve those if you want.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is the Police Training Committee for the Cleveland Community Police Commission. I will call the meeting to order, and it is 6:03 p.m. on Wednesday, September 11th. All right, so first things first, I will do a roll call. So Commissioner Jim Shura.
Present.
And then I, Commissioner Charles Donaldson, I'm present as well. Commissioner Adriana Rodriguez is absent, and we do have our co-chair, Sharina Zayed, here as well. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so agenda review. Any thoughts, comments about the agenda? All right, and then we also received our minutes from the last couple of meetings. It's not on the agenda for us to approve them, but if it's okay, I can add that approval to the agenda, if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
All right. Do you mind making a motion to approve those minutes?
I'm making a motion to approve the minutes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last two meetings.
Correct. Thank you. So motion is on the table to approve the minutes from the last two committee meetings.
I'll second.
Thank you for that second. Any discussion? All right, so I will move to call the vote. So Commissioner Jim Shura,
Aye.
and then I, Commissioner Donaldson, is aye as well. Thank you. So those minutes are approved. Thank you, Ryan, for putting those together. All right, any public comments at this point? All right, so none. I will move forward to the new business on the agenda. A couple of things I want to know about the new business is that these are really just reviews of feedback that we previously provided as a committee. So what I'll do is just pull up the trainings that we'll be referencing and then just go through the revisions that were provided. And then my goal is for these two items to then be approved through the committee so that we can then have them put forward to the full commission. All right, so starting with the 2024 Session 2 e-learning assignment that we received. All right, so with this particular e-learning assignment, we did go through as a committee and we provided certain feedback and comments about this. This is an online learning module that the officers can compete at their pace. And from my understanding, they can also revisit this as well. So I will go through and highlight the comments. And Commander Magoof responded to the comments as well, and he just kind of made either the changes or he answered the questions that we had. All right, so first one here, one of the questions we had was this particular slide. The way that it was broken out, it didn't really have any information that it just basically needed clarification. So there was question about issuing orders when it comes to use of force. And so we suggested that there could be additional slide which would provide examples of questions that could be asked. So in the notes section here, Commander Magoof did add some additional text regarding those questions. He made that adjustment here. And also I wanted to say that I did go through this document beforehand and I made sure that everything that we requested was either changed or answered appropriately. There are a couple things that I will email Commander Magooth about, but it's just kind of grammar things that I want to make sure gets changed. But I don't think it's anything to hold it up from going to the full commission. All right, and then this actually, the second comment is an example of it. So here we were to come in saying, on the slide it says be better communication, and we were thinking that it should say be better at communicating or maybe better communications. And then Commander Magooth did put here that he adjusted it, but I didn't see any change here. So my question to him is going to be, was it adjusted on the back end to where we just didn't see this once he resent it, or maybe it was just a mistake, because there are some slides that he did change and we can see the changes, but this one in particular, I didn't see any change. So I asked him about that. And then as I'm going through, please feel free to stop if you have any questions. All right, so going to the next one. This was just more of a question about how anxiety and stress management is provided to members of the CDP. And my question was, is it singular learning modules or is it received from different modules? And the response was that it's provided through various ways. So through peer support, mindfulness training, stress activities, employee assistance events, and etc.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Have those things been found to be effective? Have they assessed like if anything needs to be changed or added?
Yeah, I could definitely pose that question. I don't know off top if the response to that. You have something?
I was just going to say briefly that obviously a more in-depth analysis is kind of stuff that needs to be done on this. There has been progress made towards trying to improve mental health things, but a lot of officers still frequently describe that they don't feel that they're not getting adequate. And that's what was explored in a previous report done by the monitoring team, whose name I'm forgetting, but if you go to their website, monitor reports, it outlines some of the stressors and some of the and some generally what officers saying have said on an informal basis, because a few years ago we tried to do a survey of officer mental health, and it kind of ended up fizzling out. And then there was a transition between commissions, and it kind of was like just kind of ended up on I know that's something that people are looking into, but I don't know if there's any definitive report out about it.
Thank you.
If there is and I forgot about it, I sincerely apologize. but I don't recall there being.
All right, thank you. All right, and next comment here, we were talking about the reactionary gap. We did make a note to maybe include a definition of what that is. Commander Magooth did respond to our comment, and then he also included some additional text in the notes slide as well. Grammar error here. We are asked if maybe the "the" or the "a" could be removed from the second bullet point here. Again, it is noted as adjusted, but I don't think it is adjusted. So this is one of the second things I'm going to ask him about, just to make sure that when this training is finalized, that those grammar errors are actually reflected. And then this particular slide, so there were bullet points on here. One of them talks about conclusory statements, and we asked how they're used, how are they not used as far as those particular statements. And so he did add a slide that gives examples of those statements. And I think, yeah, so it is actually an edited slide. So it's not a brand new slide. He just added text to the previous slide, which goes back to the question I had about if this particular slide was edited, why the previous ones, when we had those grammar errors, like why they weren't edited. So I think it was just maybe a miss on his part, but I'll definitely clarify those. And like I said, those are just minor errors as far as deleting a word or adding a word. There was also a grammar error in the notes. Shall not was repeated twice, so we asked for one of those to be removed, and that was adjusted as well. Oh, wait, sorry. Put the wrong thing. So there we go. So next comment here. This particular slide, we talked about this for not a while, but just for a couple minutes because it references the GPO regarding spray applications, or OC spray applications, I should say. So we felt that the selections here were not correct. So for example, this one says the OC spray application burst longer than 3 seconds is allowed in policy. And so that was showing as a correct response. And according to GPO, that was not correct. So our comment on this was, please provide clarification on this. What's the correct answers? And so he did go through, made edits to this slide and updated that particular point because it was not correct. And then again, there was a comment in the notes that referenced that incorrect information, so he made that change as well. All right. All right. Next comment. This particular slide has a photo from, I believe, the Home Alone movie. So we suggested that this photo was removed, and he did delete that on the slide here. And then a general question we had about this particular section was regarding youth consent. And so we were asking if there was a policy or a GPO regarding obtaining a consent from youth or just general interactions. And Commander Magoo did note the GPOs here that reference that information. And then we also suggested including an age-appropriate manner example or language, and that was adjusted as well in the notes section. And you can see here, the text that's in red are the examples, and then also the added notes. All right, next slide, next comment here. This particular slide had 4 different options. The final option on here said only if they do all of the responses, and we felt that that was confusing and it was open to interpretation. So we requested for that to be clarified. And what Commander Magoo did, he basically changed the options on the slide. And then another suggestion we had was for maybe there be an option to select more than one. So basically selecting all of the correct answers instead. And that's what the adjustment was for this. All right, I believe that was it. So just gonna make sure that was all of the comments here. All right, and yes, that was it. So like I said, this training was reviewed previously by the committee. We submitted those suggestions, feedbacks, then we received it back with the changes and revisions. So what I wanted to do today was to just go through those revisions, make sure everything was addressed, and then moving forward to the full commission.
Why did, to the chair, why did you guys remove the Home Alone photo?
So that particular slide talked about youth consent, and so we felt that it wasn't really relevant because the picture was of an officer from the movie talking to kids, and so we understood why it was used, but then we were like, this subject matter may not be the best to kind of put a picture from a comedy movie.
Yeah, you don't like it anymore? Is that what-
Yeah.
And to be fair, technically, the person in the photograph is not a police officer. He's a robber impersonating a police officer. I just want to be consistent with messaging.
I had the same thought. It's so fun.
Maybe you could use the one where the guy's riding the kid on the big wheel.
Yeah, well, that was why.
Okay.
Any-
Copyright or something?
No, it wasn't related to copyright. So yeah, that was that particular training. Any additional questions, thoughts about it? And I will ask Commander Magoo about maybe any reports or anything regarding, the mental health part as well.
I'll just say great work. I'm always impressed by the communication between the training department and the CPD. It seems like you guys have a good partnership going on there, so good work.
Yeah, thank you. And I agree. We do. We do. Knock wood, cross fingers, whatever. So yeah. Commissioner Chair, if you want to put a motion on the floor to approve this, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Jason, I don't know stages.
I'd like to
Just
make a
focus on
motion
judgment.
to approve the 2024 Session 2 e-learning assignment, use of force, SNS and BF policing, to review revisions, just like that. PowerPoint.
Thank you for that. So motion is on the floor to approve the Session 2 e-learning assignment, use of force, SNS and BF policing. Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you for that. All right, so motion on the floor has been seconded. Any discussion? All right, so we will move forward with a vote. Commissioner Chur,
Aye.
and then I, Commissioner Donaldson, I as well. So that will move forward to the full commission to be reviewed and approved at the next full commission meeting. All right, and then next item here is the internal affairs basic instructions. So this one, we reviewed it as a committee. We didn't have any edits as far as adding terminology or adding sections or grammar. It was more so of questions that we had. So I emailed those questions to Commander Magoo, and then he responded to those questions. So I'll pull up the responses here, and then we can just talk through those. But it's not going to be as, I guess, intense or as the one we just did, which wasn't even that intense. But all right, so let me just pull that up.
What do you turn down?
Yeah,
Sometimes when it's too hot, it automatically shuts off.
all right, so this particular training, pull it up here. So it is also an online module. And then just to kind of refresh, it was relevant to internal affairs. So the one thing we noted with this one was that some of the words, or I guess the slides, were dense and the slides were kind of wordy. So these are the questions here that we asked. We asked if there would be an audio feature attached to the training that will allow for the text on the slide to be heard in addition to being read. And the reason why we asked that question was because the slides, like I said, some of them had a lot of words, were very dense. And so we were thinking if I'm sitting down taking this training, maybe it'll be better if I could hear the words being read versus me sitting and having to read through all of these things. The other thing we asked was if the training module has to be fully completed once it's started, or can it be revisited? And then again, we just made a note that we felt that several of the slides were kind of dense. So the response to those questions was that the LMS does have an audio narration that allows for the text to be heard, and that the training module can be paused and revisited another time. And then for the content of the slides, Commander Magoof deferred that question to Mr. Vallis. So he said that the online content is presented with the audio. The online module can be revisited any time, and that the online presentation is meant to be preloaded instructions. So it will basically be taken by individual students prior to them actually doing the coursework. And it's meant to be dense and completed individually at the pace of the user. He also said that it was developed by a vendor using best practices and curriculum development, and that in their internal review of the module, they haven't reserved any information in particular being overwhelming. But the thing I wanted to kind of note here is that it can be revisited. There is audio being added to the slides, and that according to the information provided here, it did not appear to be unreasonable once it was reviewed. And that was it. So like I said, we didn't have any specific call outs on the slides here. We went through this, in committee. There wasn't really anything that we wanted to change. We were just mainly concerned about how some of the slides were laid out and that type of thing. Any questions, thoughts on that? Right, and then, like I said, if this one is approved to go forward, it'll go to the full commission, and then we'll go from there. Good. You like your thinking?
I was just gonna say, we have a part of training every officer is required to take it, and a lot of it is you can study at your own pace, you can save it. So some of it is wordy. It's not like if the instructor was given a PowerPoint, you just work a couple things on the thing, and he would go into whatever points you had to make. But I can see where it has to be a little bit wordy with this, and I think it's a good idea. Although sometimes I'd be faster than the narration.
Yeah.
But it's good to get it sink in twice and kind of retain it a little better. So I think they're on.
Thank you. All right. Well, do you mind also putting forth a motion for this to be approved?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the internal affairs basic instruction revisions to the syllabus.
Thank you. So
I second that.
motion is on the floor and seconded for the internal affairs basic instruction to be approved and sent to the full commission. We will move to the vote. Commissioner Chura.
Aye.
And I, Commissioner Donaldson, am aye as well. Thank you.
In the teaching program grants, when I said so the screen's supposed to, what you're telling is what the bullet points you explained to the students what they actually need and said. No, that's what it's all used. They
Okay.
Yeah, and there will be like the comment said, there will be coursework to go along with this as well. So these two items will be added to the health and wellness curriculum item that was already on the agenda for the full commission meeting. So we'll have 3 items that we will attempt to move forward from the full commission. Once these are approved, then they will move to the monitor team and to the Department of Justice for review, and then it'll go from there. So that's the process for these. Public comment at this time, we can move on.
All right. A couple of things I would like to remind all the commissioners, even who are not present. When we try to help the police force to improve all aspects of their practices, lots of things, even if you think it's common sense, but due to the knowledge that we have, the past GOPs and trainings, lots of them were not well organized because they were either copied from some other places and pasted maybe with mistakes. And also, they always think that they do not have enough time to go through all these trainings. So commissioners, not only you need to consider the ways which will help them to have these trainings or these practice to be there for real. Also, you do need to tackle the details yourself, the content. For example, I really appreciate when you said some of the slides, it looks too dense. Sure, we understand that those sentences, definitely they are related. That's why they are put on the same slide. However, I think we can recommend that they should split that into 2, because if they do have audio to read through them, you just move the slide smoothly with it. Having very dense look on the screen actually defeats the purpose of learning for some of the visual learners. I'm not saying all of them should have pictures and this and that, but sometimes when it's too dense, the people who do not read fast or who do not get a visual cue as strong as those visual learners may still get discounted from this kind of training. Sure, it's good to be user, based on the user pace. If they want to go back, I wish they can. But lots of time they will say they don't have time. So in that case, it's better to make sure when this training, the slideshow put out, it's covered for both audio and visual learners. In that case, we can cover the most at the very beginning. Now, for some of the officers, if they are diligent, they are willing to spend time to review the same course again. Definitely they're welcome. But we have to think about all the past excuses we have received. So I hope that all the commissioners should push a little bit more. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Any additional comments at this time? All right, well, I knew this meeting wasn't going to be long. Thank you all for coming out, but it is 6:32 and we can adjourn at this time. Next meeting is scheduled for October the 9th.